The Vocal Studio.
Welcome to the Vocal Studios podcast, Find Your Inner Voice. We talk about singing, music, and vocal teaching and life around it. We're the vocal coaches at the Vocal Studio Singapore, and you are with us on our Find Your Inner Voice coach conversation. Hello, I am Hannah, and I'm here with Coach Bojana today. Hey.
Hi, Hanna. Hi, good morning. Good
Good
afternoon,
morning.
everyone.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about some vocal tips. This we are covering vocal tips, and this episode is going to be about useful vocal voice effects, right? Singing effects that we
Yes,
can create to make your voice and make your singing a lot more tasteful. More tasteful and rich. So the tricks that we'll be talking about today, there are many ways of adding, voice effects to make it really sound nice, to deliver different feels. But today we are going to focus on two of those. One is vibrato,
that's
and the
it.
other one will be the vocal run and riff.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So, there are so many people who, once they pass this stage of being able to hit the right note and sing in the right tune, can sing the melody, who has a basic sense of the rhythm. Now they want to go to the next level of becoming a better singer, and becoming a better singer means a lot of things, but then many people want to have those skills, right, certain qualities in their voice, and so that they can sing with noise that tremble, and all these fancy techniques that you can show, because that's what they hear in the pop songs and in the music that they listen to, right? You get the thrill, you get the fascination over that. So how do we explain what these effects are, and any examples of the songs, or what are the exercises, what are the tips for the students to then improve upon those skills, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
okay,
good.
cool.
Um,
So
so
let's first begin with a little bit of vibrato. What is vibrato? Like, people hear about it, and in Korea, actually, vibrato is, we, maybe it's a Konglish, we call it vibration. Like, I think there are some people who call it as vibration.
vibration, but that's it. That's what it is in
It
essence.
is basically what it
But
is.
but just not to just to make it sound more like it belongs to music rather than something else, you would have to call it vibrato instead of vibration, because vibration is a very general term, right?
Yes, anything vibrates, right? Our,
Yes.
I don't know, hand vibrate.
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
what to
The
say.
hands
No
vibrate all
comments.
the time. Yeah. I mean, so we're starting it off really with a lot of, laughter, which is great. Then we're vibrating as a laugh as well. Ha! No, not like that. Ha, ha, ha. All right. Well, basically, yeah, I didn't know that in Korea you guys call it vibration. That's interesting.
Nowadays, I think more people are using the technical term of vibrato. Yeah. So in vocals, in singing, what exactly is vibrato?
Well, if you want to make it very simple, obviously we know vibrating means that it moves. There's a movement, right, that happens in the voice. And the term itself, actually, vibrato, as we all know it, that's like that's how it's called everywhere in the world, right? Apart from Korea, it comes from the Italian word, which means vibrare, which means to vibrate simply. And in music, we all know it as vibrato, and that's like the general term, right? It's a small variation of pitch that occurs spontaneously when we sing. Even if you are someone that does not have a vibrato and has a very flat voice, for example, right? We can at points we can hear it. We can hear that the vibrato is there. So it's a natural way of the voice sound. Now, obviously, it's different if you have almost no vibrato, and if you have a lot of vibrato, or if you have very little vibrato. These are things that you can work on, that we can
Yeah.
work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have you actually, like thought about, okay, what is a good vibrato, like as a singer, or like what's your experience of training, if you have any, or in developing your interest in vibrato?
Yeah, well, basically, if you ask any, vocal coach, or someone who is very much into technical ways of, what a good voice is supposed to sound like, we would say that too much vibrato, it's not healthy. Or in other words, you can have a vibrato which is which is very controlled, right? This is considered healthy vibrato. Whereas when your voice starts doing something like with that's not vibrato, but, that goes to like, wobbling and trembling with a lot of intensity. So we are trying not to let the voice vibrate too much. So if someone has a lot of vibrato naturally, we would try and get them back to a straight tone. If someone has a lack of vibrato, we can teach them how to have a little more vibrato. And why is vibrato needed? Because it shows that you guys, or we guys, have a good technique and a good breath support, and that it shows that we can actually stylistically work on our expression in when we sing.
Yeah. I mean, aesthetically, if I think about, the experience of like somebody singing, listening to the voice that has completely straight voice versus a little, taste that, or addition of the vibrato, as an audience, I think it also, there is a feeling of relaxation, like when you're holding the note, and keep pushing, somehow you are building a little bit of the emotional tension that goes along with the person's, because it really is, the voice can sound a bit too thrusting, right? Too pierced, too straight, too strong. Whereas if you do have that sense of vibrato, it means your voice is also somewhat relaxed, so it allows a room for the voice to vibrate, of course with under control, but because of that, a bit of that relaxed resonance of the voice, I think as a listener, it also gives them the nice feeling of a little bit of comfort. And
Yeah,
maybe
that's
emotional expression wise, also it creates a room for you to emotionally also follow with a movement, right?
yeah. Well, basically the vibrato, I mean, vibrato it depends on the level of the vibrato. If you vibrate in a very fast speed, right, kind of way, that actually shows tension, right?
True. It is also very true.
So it's important to understand these, different vibratos, so that we know which direction are we taking, and eventually we have to take a healthy direction for our own voice, right? So we really want to maintain a healthy vibrato, meaning we want to control our own vibrato if possible. That would be amazing. Although in essence our voices are not flat, they always have a little vibration. Sometimes we don't hear it, but if you say, for instance, if you record a song and if you lay your voice on a track, your voice is not a straight line, right? So it has a little bit of vibration. But we can navigate, we can work around with our vibrato and achieve some interesting results, and then use those and then make it as a trick, right? To sound in a certain way, and to make an impact, an emotional impact in the song. So
so basically, we have to understand our voice itself is a result of vibration, basically, but then the level of the tremble or vibration that we want to explore, we can expand it more by using those techniques, so that it can be more obvious and visible and really audible. Or if you are having too much of a shaky voice, we can control it a little bit better, so that it still has that maintaining sound, right? Like the direction, without being too shaky all over the place.
yeah.
Yeah. What are
So
how do you
how do we achieve vibrato?
sorry?
Yeah, how do we achieve vibrato, right? How
Yeah,
do we
how do
do
we
it?
achieve the vibrato?
Okay,
How do you
so
practice?
how do we practice? We have to have an open throat.
Mm,
Larynx is down, throat is open,
mm,
and then we have to start producing. We produce a note. So the vocal cords have to seamlessly, without any necessary holding on tension, come together.
mm.
And it's, that's a very little vibrato. You can try, if you have a very flat voice, you can actually intentionally try and open your throat, take a deep breath. You know, so these are types of things that you can, try for yourself.
Yeah, because it's basically you have to train the inner, I think, like the inner muscle, right? So, but some cases I have observed some singers or some other like rockers who are creating that voice effect using their jaw, so it's a real fast movement of a jaw. I have a jaw dislocation. I cannot do it anymore.
You're not the only one. A lot of people have it, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but the
Another
thing
thing
is, if you are
to
depending all the time with the jaw, then probably the way you create it might be really limited, and it's right. So like how Bojana did, how you just did, really having the mouth open, so that you can just focus on what's happening inside of the throat.
Yeah, and also, yes, I mean, but you know what? It's also important to mention the breath support here.
Yes.
It has to be very solid if you want a good vibrato.
Yeah, so the breath support has to be there so that the sound can still like come out, right? Constant.
Yeah.
There has to be a constant flow of the sound and of the air, and I think if you have one type of vibrato that's if you are shaking too very fast, in order for you to slow it down and create a nice a more relaxed vibrato, it will take some time. And if you didn't have any before, if you don't have experience of doing this, of course there is trial and error. So maybe at first you will sound very not stable. Maybe you will experience this ugly face, but it doesn't mean that it's not the right way or it's a complete wrong way of doing it, because anything takes time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I mean, we know there's so many different types of vibrato, as we're saying, and with the use of the right muscles, the air pressure that pass through the vocal cords, by regulating that and working with all the muscles that we have, like for example the lower lumbar muscles, the pelvic floor, the intercostal muscles, and all that. If we work with this, we will slowly, naturally start having a good vibrato, and then we will be able to know exactly what's happening in our bodies. Once we get to know that, then we will start to be able control the type of vibrato that we want. Do we want a very fast vibrato, like for instance, like in the French chanson, right? It's they have this la, that kind of type vibrato, like that.
It's
I don't know,
really
maybe
diverse. There's no one way of creating a sound effect, right?
And for instance, I think in Chinese singing, there's traditional Chinese singing. There's also a different type of vibrato, right? Which is more flowing, right? Something like that. So you can really choose what kind of vibrato you want. And it's fun, as long as you're not, pushing too far, and your voice doesn't hurt. I mean, your throat doesn't hurt, and you're not, pushing too far beyond. You're good. You can try it out.
Yes, so coordination of your vocal muscles, and also your breath support, and being consistent, and have in mind about what is the purpose and what are the effects and what are the feel that you're trying to get from doing the vibrato. I think these are the key things for you to remember when you practice for it. And always you can listen to the artists like who you really like, and then really like listen deeply, and then try to imitate it and compare like how it physically feels, and also like how it sounds compared to the artist that you like or you want to resemble. And then from there you can also start and expand Personally, I think uh, I love all different kinds of vibrato. Like it's just interesting to see. And then there was a conversation about of some music or vocal critics about what is a healthy and what is a best vibrato, right? And then like how you mentioned about this, a little more sheep, bang, kind of like this way of trembling.
Let's not name singers and artists
We're
after
not
we said
naming
the word
anybody.
sheep. But yeah,
um,
it's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
yeah, but you know, in the world of music, how do you say what is always right and what is always wrong, right? As long as you have a good control and then a good way of managing your voice and
Yeah.
delivering the emotion
Yeah.
and then the expression that you want to express. So yeah,
It's
don't be too strict about getting the only one single answer about what is a good vibrato, because I think there is a room for the people to explore, right?
Yes, for sure, for sure. As long as you have control over what you do,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
Once you get no control over your vibrato, that eventually might not be ideal.
Yeah.
So in essence, it's all about you being able to control that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agree. Okay, so that was a little bit of our tips that we shared about you practicing or understanding what vibrato is in singing. Now, let's move on to some fancy run and rip skills. So
Yeah, we like the runs and riffs.
we
They're
like
fun.
it.
Yeah.
The
In
more
the
the
pop
better.
Yeah, in the popular music world, in pop music, in
All this yeah, acrobatics. Many people call it as vocal acrobatics, also vocal gymnasium skills.
yeah, which are fun and which actually make you outstand a little more and
Uh-huh.
then make you sound that you are very good in what you do. You know how to do this, vocals, runs, riffs, and that's kind of a show off a little bit as well, right? But why not?
Why not? If you have it,
Yeah.
well, it can be your weapon, right?
Yeah, of course. Well, there's different a variety of rounds and riffs, and it's very very common in pop music, in R&B and soul music, and a little bit towards funk as well. So these are the types of the genres of music that you can look at if you want to learn how to do beautiful runs and riffs. Yeah. So R&B, we all know it's very, very common, especially male singers. When you hear them, how they do these runs and riffs. I mean, for ladies, it's very common, but
Yeah.
for men, it's even more beautiful to hear them how they like do these runs and riffs.
Yeah.
It's kind of very attractive, right?
It is. It is.
So how do we do it, right? How do we get there?
Yes, how do we get there? And I mean, like, what is vocal run? What is riff? Probably there are some people who never really heard of this term. Maybe there are some people who are already familiar with this thing. So in singing, what is a vocal run? What is a vocal riff? Like you can somehow interchange, like mix these two words. They're basically similar stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if that for sure. I mean, if you are singing from a very high note, so you start from a very high note and your voice drops quickly down towards the lowest note possible, that would be a run. That would be considered a run. So that kind of thing.
Yes.
So you go from all the way. So you're literally showing off your whole range, and then
Yes.
people are so impressed by you.
So it's a real fast movement of your vocal, like the melody line.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
yes, all these tricks. So yeah, the first time actually that I got super interested in doing this exercises is
Yeah.
a lot of our R&B singers are using it, right? A lot of
Yes.
R&B singers. I mean, pop singers, like in these days. And there is a singer that I really liked listening to, and she was really like in the the chorus. After the chorus, the bridge comes, and then there is a part where you can improvise a little bit and do your like real vocal acrobatics. And she had amazing, beautiful lines of this vocal runs, and I just wanted to capture it. But that time my ears was not there, so my hearing of all these notes I couldn't like really nail like each one, and I needed to listen to that single phrase of 5 seconds. I don't know how many times, 20 times, 30 times, for me to understand where does the melody even go, because it's too fast. I cannot even hear it. If I cannot hear, how can I follow it, right? So first time I'm suffering it like 30 times, just 100 times listening to it, and after that it came to the point where I was really like slowing down it. uh, and then I just couldn't hold that note, so I was just repeating 100 times.
Yeah, because there are tips and tricks of how, you know, we're supposed to, what we're supposed to do to be able to pull that nice run and riff, right?
Yeah. And then I didn't
Usually,
know. It was just very hard, right?
yeah, when you
So,
don't know, but and
and
when
I
you hear
didn't
it and
know.
you're like, how am I supposed to do that, right?
True.
Yeah, well, how are we supposed to do it? Can we say something about it? Shall I share something about it? I think I should.
Yeah. So nowadays there are many easy ways, not easy way, but then one thing about the, I think it's two things. So when you're talking about the run or the riff, one is having the flexibility. So it's a real physical muscle exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Second, you have to get the melody line, right? So if you are moving fast, but then if everything is out of pitch, if everything is out of the musical context, then it doesn't even sound suitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can split in those two concepts when you're talking about creating the nice lane and understanding the flow of the riff, because there is a rule. I wouldn't say it's 100% rule, but then there's a pattern of the singers applying certain riff lines, right? Many times it can be, this is where you can get the idea from the scale exercises, like some major exercises and minor, and then also like some pentatonic melody patterns, right? So 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 these are all following certain patterns of the melody. So you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
actually first understand how those scales go, and
yeah.
then yeah, in whatever key it is, if it's starting from if it's starting from so what is the melody pattern that you can create
Yeah, yeah,
versus getting the knowledge of that by listening many times and also following it. You can do it slowly.
yeah. That's one way for sure of, you know, introducing the scale, the pentatonic, you know, some R&B, yeah, the pentatonic scales are a great thing that what you can for sure,
Yeah.
you know, listen a lot of that because the patterns are around there. But also what's important, and talking about, you know, only the technical aspect of our singing voice, right?
Mm.
Once we have, I believe that all the riffs and runs and all that come into place once we have all our voice areas together, such
Mm.
as head voice, chest voice, falsetto, and mixed voice.
Oh
Once you
yes.
have the whole thing together, then you can move around, you know, from one to
Oh
another.
yeah, that's also another important thing, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
You have
you
to
have to know.
distinguish when you're doing a riff which part of your the actual range
Mm.
the riff is happening. Is it starting from a chest voice going to head voice, or going to mix to head to falsetto, or is it like you know? So if you're able to hear and to make a
Mm.
difference
Mm.
between you know, which type of voice quality is used for a run and
Mm.
a riff, that's another way of trying to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
with combination with the scales and the right exercises. So
Yes.
it's a very technical thing that we're looking at here if you want to do a run or a riff. So we're really getting into that technical aspect of things. Yeah, yeah. So these
Yeah.
are, yeah, we gave you, you know, the scales and the actual four
The
voice
jumping,
types
traveling
qualities.
between, yes, two
Yeah,
different voices and making it smoothly, nicely connected, and yes.
some and some other examples that we can also look at, we can look at some gospel music because
Mm-hmm.
they use a lot of it, you know, that so we can look at gospel and R&B music, get more familiar with that. Then we're going to get into the scales, and we're going to, you know, look at the different type of voice qualities that we possess. And it's a little bit of work, but it's such fun. We all love the runs and riffs. Right. Some singers, I mean, so many singers nowadays. We've got Christina Aguilera, is just really, really famous.
Yes.
Someone who actually sings like that all the time, right? She's more on the vibrato side as well, but still. Then we've got Beyonce, then we've got Jessie J, we've got Tori Kelly, who sings with a lot of, you know, runs and riffs all the time. Then we've got Madison Ryan as well. From the male singers, so I would recommend someone that I really like, and then a song that we are currently listening here a lot, which is Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. You can listen to him and see how much he uses all type of his voice, and how he plays around and does the runs and the riffs with so much control. It's all about the control of your own voice.
Yeah.
And then it's fun when you listen to it, right?
It is fun. It is fun. Okay, thanks for sharing all these examples. I think, I'll also go back to it. I was listening to, and I don't know, whenever I hear really nice riffs and runs that are flowy, it does also create that nostalgic feel. And that's what I really like about, like all this Whitney Houston, like,
Really?
days. Yes, I do love it. So another good way of also like really learning it and then nailing it down and then make it yours is when you practice, maybe don't be too ambitious. Don't try to cover every song, like 10 songs. Don't try to work on 10 songs. Maybe you can really like first focus on a few lines within the song, and then really have it mastered. And once it becomes yours, and from there you already have developed some technical skills and also your knowledge, and then you can move on to the next one, little by little. It takes a lot of time.
I think it takes generally, Hannah, a lot of patience from the students to like stay on one song for a long time, because they like the change. Let's get a new one. Let's get to the new one. It's good. The enthusiasm is there, but in essence, when we are learning, you have to be systematic.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, it's the student's choice, right? If they want to go for, I don't know, changing the songs frequently, fine. We allow that too.
It's true. You can also, like if you are really tired of the song by singing it 100 times, okay, then the next song, but then you focus on the same skill that you have not mastered yet. So there is a consistency in
there has to be consistency for sure. Yeah. We really need to have a focus of what we want to achieve.
True.
So sticking to one song is not a bad idea at all. And it is boring, that's for sure. I've been there, I've done that many years ago. There was a particular song that I had to repeat for, believe it or not, a year and something.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was already a professional singer and everything, but there was one song that I had to do it over and over, because there was something that it was there, but it was not fully there.
Yes, it was there, but it was not fully there.
So for it to begin, and my teacher was like, let's do it again. And all the time, the same story. But to be honest, if I do it now, it's completely locked in my system. I can do it at any time, at any point, and I'm doing it so well. So, it really, the efforts are paying, right? Because, staying with a song for 1 year, it's something as well.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but why not?
Be patient with yourself and don't feel bad about repeating over and over and over again, right?
It's not easy.
It's not easy. As a teacher, it's also not an easy thing for you to say again.
Yeah, because at one point we're going to lose the patience, right? And we're like, oh, why is nothing happening? And so yeah, but that's one way of achieving some kind of results. And for the runs and riffs, it's the same thing. You have to repeat them over and over and over and over. Practice.
So also, like, you should not overly tire yourself, like by singing out too loud, right? Every time you do it, you give 100% of the volume, and then the whole like full thing, then maybe it might be too much, too exhausting for your throat. So you have to also space things out and balance it better, so you know what you're focusing, and without being too harsh on yourself, you can constantly make your progress. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, this is like, when I see the students suffering from not visible progress for a certain duration of the time period of time, and just little by little, every time she does the same thing, after 10 or 20 times of practice, the following week it becomes this better, and then the following week it becomes this better, right? And then I don't know, within 2 months time, oh wow, she actually made it. You know, there are the moments of this realization.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, you can do it. I mean, anyone can do it. It's just, it needs some patience and it needs constant effort.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, when you have all these things, see, this will bring you to the next stage, next level of singing.
Riffs and
Really
runs.
open the new window for you to fully like express yourself in a more diverse way. So yeah, so just don't give up. If you're interested in doing more of it, yes, please go ahead and try many ways that you can do it yourself. If you need the guidance, so we are here always to, you know, help you and then guide you with the right exercises, and then really give our hands when you feel like, oh, I'm an idiot, this is not working. No, it can work.
Just
You know?
tell us what you feel, and we will help you out for sure.
Yeah. All righty.
All right,
Yeah,
I think we need
thanks
to
so
wrap
much,
it up,
Hanna,
Hannah.
for sharing.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very enlightening conversation. We have actually a lot more to talk about around, you know, this kind of vocal dynamics and tips and tricks we will share later.
Yeah.
So please watch our podcasts. We will speak more about it.
Okay. All right. See you guys then.
Thank you, guys.
great
See
day.
you. Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Bye.